Back to another episode of Unranked Podcast. Coming to y'all today. We'll 2 days into free agency. We're gonna dive in to see what the Lions have been up to. They did make some pretty solid moves in some areas we definitely needed addressing just based off of last season. Um, Looking forward to just kind of seeing what they may do, for the rest of free agency leading up to the draft, re-sign some guys. But yeah, a lot of activity going on over in Detroit. So we'll touch on all the signings and all that. And yeah, we'll kick it over to UE and just want to see your thought. Then kind of start off with Glasgow re-signing, and then Jackson moving on and kind of go from there.
Yeah, so I think it was smart to lock up Glasgow. Fairly solid contract. He's been with the team like what approaching 7, 8, 9, 10 years at this point. He's been here for a while.
Yeah.
So this will probably finish out most of his career, or what's
Hmm.
the better part of it, I should say. So it's good, just 3 year deal. I think it was 20 million. Uh,
Hmm.
pretty solid for a guy that pretty reliable, big time guy. Kind of keep another core part of that offensive line together with
Yep.
Jonas Jackson departing for the Rams on a big time payday. So I think it was cool just to kind of keep another key block of that offensive line. One of what top 3 or 5 best offensive lines, O lines in the league last year. Um, just an overall, just a solid player. So
Yeah.
I'm not mad at that at all. Reasonable contract. Um, the Jonah Jackson thing was interesting. I guess I had never really. I guess I didn't assume he would leave. I guess or didn't realize he was up to leave. It kind of happened to me, kind of semi surprised. I seen come across my timeline. And I was like, oh,
Hmm.
I didn't even know that was never really came across my mind as a real possibility. But lost that guy to the Rams, big time contract, big time player. So it was that's obviously we're gonna have to kind of get to work a little bit or play musical chairs on offensive line and see what we want that to look like to kind of keep
Hmm.
that moving forward. That old line run game was the bloodline of this team. So you win one, lose one. With the draft coming up here, I think we'll probably dive a little earlier in old line than we probably initially anticipated.
For sure. Yeah, no, I second a lot of that. Guys like Glasgow, I just kind of look at him as like a glue guy. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like, just help things go. Play very well. Yeah, the Jonah Jackson one, I just kind of heard some rumblings, I guess you could even call that. I know he missed like 4 or 5 games the last couple of years. They knew he'd asked for quite a bit. But it's interesting. I don't know if it was like what I thought was kind of curious about was, Glasgow signing for like 20 and then um Jackson signed for like 50. I don't know if that's just like a kind of curious what the age gap is or what kind of all went into that, but pretty hefty contract. And I think it might have just been injuries that was it was really like maybe why I didn't want to bring him back. But I agree. I think I wouldn't be surprised now. I mean, if it wouldn't hurt me either if they kind of put O line to the front from a priority
Yeah.
standpoint, instead of what we thought, DB, D line, from a draft standpoint, because the guy Frazier from West Virginia been talking about quite a bit. I mean, a lot, he can play center and guard, so that might be something we could start at guard and move to the center when Ragnar moves on, and we can, you know,
Yep.
play musical chairs here and there too, within reason, for something like that. But yeah, glad to see Glasgow come back. Kind of suck to see Jackson go, but I'm confident they're gonna find a complementary piece to put in there, whether it's in free agency or in the draft.
Yeah. No. So just fact check that. Graham Glasgow is 31 and Jonah Jackson is 27. That's probably just
27
the payday, the difference in that payday there probably.
for sure.
But no, I think we kind of, I think last podcast we kind of mentioned some players we wanted to target. And I think each of us only had one old lineman on there. And with this happening and just kind of the more I think about it a little more, I would not be mad at all if
Mhm.
that 29th pick we went ahead and got one, or definitely that 61st pick. I think those are uh, somebody that maybe you want to kind of groom within. Go ahead and get one of these good, that guy Frazier, get him in with the unit that you got a couple of guys that are foundational pieces on the O line, let them learn from them. Like you said, step in once they retire or move on, or whatever that case is. But just go ahead and keeping them young and fresh now. I think
Yeah.
we're a bad mistake you could do is just say, okay, let's roll with it another year. And then, knock on wood, something bad happens to one of them injury wise, or
Right.
somebody
Yeah.
dips out a little prematurely that we don't anticipate. And boom, we're trying to look to fill a hole versus we should have had old boy right here. So that's something
Mhm.
I would not be mad about it at all. Moving, stepping up earlier draft, and just to kind of look at some of the other things. I know we uh both of us last time spent a lot of time on whether the Darius Sneed was worth trading. A lot of
Yeah.
talk about the 29th pick, a lot of talk about a combination of a second round and something else. We obviously decided not to do that. Went ahead and signed traded for Carlton Davis, signed another cornerback in
Meek.
Robinson. Yep. So Roberson, and I think I kind of think we still need to address that as far as draft comes. But we also, as far as I'm concerned, probably have our QB1 in Carlton Davis. Um, you got Branch who can play some nickel, can play a lot of uh, defensive back in general. Kirby Joseph. You got some pieces back there, guys who have kind of been through the fire, know the system. So I think just similar to O line, interjecting
Yeah.
another new blood in there right about now is the good time for that. Let him go get a year under the belt when you do have a couple vets. Um, I look, just Carlton Davis is on a $14 million for 1 year this season. So he's on a contract year. Players obviously typically have better seasons on contract years.
Mhm.
We should get the most out of him, assuming he stays healthy and upright for us. And after that, this time next year, we'll be in a similar spot to go have some money to sign him or have $14 million to do whatever with, because potentially we drafted, whoever at
Yeah.
cornerback. So I think, if I'm going to put my GM hat on, that's kind of how I would like to do it is I take the best available player at 29, and then go from there and fill your next hole or whatever, do the opposite. If the best corner is the dude from, I can't think of his name, but the dude from Toledo
Yeah.
at 29, he's
Quinn
thinking of, let's
Mitchell.
jump on. Or if Frazier's the best at 29, let's jump on him and get, Max Melton from Rutgers with the 61st
Mhm.
pick. I think just play, as you mentioned last week, just complimentary football. I would do that with the draft. Just compliment your draft picks and
Absolutely.
go from there.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. And I love these acquisitions. Granted, it would have been nice to have Snead, but these just feel so much more like these acquisitions tell me that we probably are going to draft a
Yeah.
corner.
And
We're
I
probably
want
going
to
to
say one
draft one
thing.
high.
Yeah, and I don't want to cut you off. I do want to say one thing about Snead. He had
Yep.
3 years at 20 million a pop left.
Yeah.
So I think
So
that's a much more a bigger commitment to a player
yeah.
than this guy in a contract year.
Yeah. And I always want to throw this out there too. That's a guy that like you get that money off what you just did. So you don't really know what you're gonna get from somebody based on just got paid for what they just did. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's always just kind of like a wild card, and you see it all the time. Like one example, Jalen Ramsey. He got paid a lot of money. Granted, they won a Super Bowl, and they trade him for a third round pick like a year later. And he's just not there anymore. So I think that's huge too. Like you said, just getting a guy in a contract here to opposed to getting somebody that's on a pretty big deal. So, but yeah, no, I think these moves. I mean, they just really just tell me like, I think we're gonna get a corner. We're gonna really throw them into in that room and just have them compete. You got
Yep.
four guys that'll I think can all start. Um, you know, I think I think Davis he's definitely gonna be that bona fide cornerback number one. I feel like Sutton should be, quarterback number two, even though people was on his head about how things kind of ended last season. But I still think he's a solid player. He's definitely a better cornerback number two than number one. And then I like Robertson just because he's got some versatility. He can play outside. He can play the slot. It's always nice to have somebody that can play in a couple different places. And then yeah, obviously we'll have Mosley in the mix as well once he gets back healthy. And
Yep.
yeah, I think they'll grab a corner and he'll either carve out some playing time or be getting groomed by some pretty solid cornerbacks, until it's his turn. Yeah. So I
Yeah,
think
and
yeah,
another,
those. But
I second that a lot. I think we have just looking at the defense, I think the defense is by far the biggest question mark on the squad. I think offense, assuming we get another reliable guy in the offensive line,
Yeah,
assuming we get another, even if it's bringing Reynolds back or
to get another
something along
receiver.
those lines, that we're going to get another receiver in that room as well. Assuming those happen,
Hmm.
offense is fine. Defense is what I think gets us over the hump, gets us through
Yes.
the tough times, gets us through our quickly increasing good division. I
Yeah.
think we gotta lean into that a little more. So I agree that we have pieces around. Obviously, Hutch being the crown jewel of it all, and then Branch, young star. Um, Campbell, I'll give him his dues. Good linebacker. Um,
Real quick, what's your?
McNeil. Yeah. So I think just
I was going to ask, what are your thoughts on not signing Gardner Johnson? I'm fine with it, but yeah, just wanted to see what your.
yeah, I'm fine with it. I mean, I don't know exactly what his deal was or what we signed him for last year, but I think he probably was going to demand a little too much for what he did.
He was
Getting
like one for like 15 or 12, something
yeah,
like
yeah. So I
that.
mean, we just we probably got a more reliable, equally as good guy, and replace CJ GJ for CD3. I think so. I
Yeah,
think
and Branch,
we're yeah,
because what happened, I think, was he went down and Branch just balled out.
flourished. Yeah,
Like, I mean, we did so well without him,
and
unfortunately. He had
and
no
in the,
leverage.
in the defensive back in general, I mean, Branch is Swiss Army knife. He could rotate around that field, kind of be, for lack of a better term, like a Jabril Peppers of it all. Just kind of blitz, play back in
Mhm.
coverage, man up if he had to. Kirby Joseph, proven he's a good player, ball hawk. Uh, I have watched it. I'm not gonna say that like I watched every Tampa Bay game over the last couple of years, but definitely a name I knew. Definitely a guy that's a force to be reckoned with, and just seems more reliable. And oh my
Mhm.
God, what's our other safety's name? Menufanu or
Melifonwu, yeah,
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 that came on
solid as hell
late.
as well. So I think
Yeah,
that
yeah.
just that defense is young, and I think just interjecting some more juice into that room will only help our situation.
Hmm.
And as far as not going jumping out the window and offering big deals, I'm not all that upset about that. I think we got I think we that doesn't seem to be our game plan. And at least if we're consistent, we're consistent. And
Yeah,
I think that's another worst thing you could do is where this is what we're doing. We don't sign big contracts and then all of a sudden you're dropping 100 million on somebody.
yeah.
You kind of messes the flow of things up. We're
We
we
got.
seem to be bringing in guys that we think will fit our system. Um,
Hmm.
and that sounds crazy because that typically doesn't work around here. But they seem to know what they're doing. Kind of got a good maestro of it all, and
Yeah.
I just want to sit back and watch Brad Holmes cook.
No, for sure. Because
Yeah.
even one interesting thing, we haven't talked about Davenport yet, because that's kind of like the real wild card. I think out of all these
Yes.
signings, didn't yeah made sense, but yeah, I just it was kind of surprising.
Yeah, he played like 3 games last year.
Yeah, so he's yeah, but we'll talking the DB or just like all the deals in general over here real quick. Like you got Davis on a prove it year. You got Amik Robinson. I mean, I looked at this deal again this morning and it was like I thought it was like 9 per year. It's like 4.5 a
Mm.
year, and he can make up to 10. So like, you look at the kind of like that deal. I mean, that's a kind of like a
So,
prove it
solid.
type
Yeah.
deal. We might get you a little more. A couple years you ball out, and me like this Davenport guy, and just kind of segue to him. I mean, I think most I know is that they got drafted in New Orleans when Campbell and Glenn were there, so they know him. I think he's gonna be more kind of just like a second string kind of guy. But I think that signing just 6 million 1 year, that also tells we're probably gonna get an edge rusher in the draft as well.
Yeah.
Just with that too.
I agree with that. I don't know much about Marcus Davenport. It looks like he had a few solid seasons, but he's
Mhm.
seemed to be kind of injury riddled. But I mean,
Yeah,
just it's crazy to see him going on 5 years ago. But 5 years ago with the Saints, 4.5 sacks. 4 years ago, 6 sacks, and then back in 2021 he had 9. Um, so we don't need him to come in and be Hutchinson.
pressure.
If you could
Come get 5 sacks.
come in and just keep people honest.
Yeah.
And that'll get the job done. Because I think we'll probably go back to the well, and that's they're really banking on the CFL guy. I think we're
Or
gonna go back to the
Houston.
well. Yeah, back to the Wells. Yeah, Houston. I forget about him from time to time, but I still would somewhere in there. I wouldn't mind if we drafted another guy as well, just to kind of
Definitely.
or go pick somebody up in free agency, just to
I agree.
keep that the knife sharp as far as the edge goes.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I'm like, I think everybody kind of has a couple favorite guys every draft. I think the guy from Missouri, Robinson, I like, I just think that would be a slam dunk. Like he's a perfect guy on the other side of Hutch. And I think we can get somebody like that, can play inside a little bit, play outside, kind of like do Hutch. I mean, that having just another guy on that side, a little more juice. I mean, I think that would set that entire D line off. I just get
Yeah.
excited just even like I hope we get us a good little edge rusher in the draft just to get some more help on the other side.
No, I agree. I think the attention that Hutch brings, it makes that other guy, his
Yeah.
job is, I don't want to say easy, but you're not the focal point. So it makes me wonder if we did have a guy that was, I'm not saying Houston's not or whatever, but if we did have a guy that it was night and day from when he came back in, from when he was out in, and from when he was playing. So, but I think
Yeah.
even if you just keep that fresh, I think we don't even know what we have yet in Hutch. Uh, I
Hutch
would need
gonna
to
have a 15 and 17 sack season
yeah,
because he
we
lead
need
the
to
league like
really dive
100
into the
pressures.
numbers, but I imagine the games that he had Houston on the other side of him, it was night and day. You think about the beginning of the year, and then you think about the last 6 weeks of the season. Because he had probably a 8 week gap in there with no sacks at all,
Yeah, but
and
like
still finished with
80
like 12 and a half.
pressures.
Yeah,
Yeah, like a crazy amount of pressures and was just like right there every time. But yeah, he was the only one giving a
yeah,
push in that entire line consistently.
yeah. And I think we run game was solid last year. Very weird defense. I forget exactly what it was, but like top five, top seven in rush defense,
Like
and like
28th.
28th in pass.
Yeah,
So,
it's
uh,
crazy. Yeah.
I just think we have to address that a little bit. And like I said, I'm saying this half jokingly, but the conference, Jordan Love is obviously he has to come back and could theoretically have like a sophomore slump type of, even though it's his fifth
Mhm.
season, but like a sophomore slump type season, or he could take off and go, keep catapulting.
Yeah.
Um, you got Swift, who is what he is, but Swift showing up in Chicago, and I guarantee he'll try to give you 2 good games a year. So I just think, overall, we have to keep marching forward and really
Sure.
focus on what
Her
we
going to
have.
Atlanta helps.
Yes,
I wish
yeah,
Justin
get him
does,
out of here.
but because it don't matter who's throwing at him. That's just what sucks. But at least like Cousins, I mean, he's him and Goff, probably would been competing for best quarterback in the division. But yeah, that's one thing. Everybody else is getting better around us, and um, hopefully even two would be even better if we could get DJ Reader. That's somebody we was
Right.
going to touch on a little bit here too. Um, I mean, he went to the Super Bowl with the Bengals. I think I saw that he was ranked like top 10 in like just rushing, like from like a defense like standpoint for like PFF. So yeah, I mean, I just cannot emphasize the trenches. We can fill out that D line and get a solid push. It don't even matter who's back there playing corner, honestly. You don't have to spend big money on a corner. You can get you a Carlton Davis and
Right.
have him down if you got guys screaming off that edge, making it hard for the quarterback. So I think if we can this will just really set off for agency like all together. If we can lock up Reader as well tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm assuming he'd come with a pretty hefty payday here, but I think that's a guy that's worth making a splash for.
Yeah, if it's like 1 or 2 year deal.
Yeah, yep, yep. Just let him come in and cook, see what we can
Yeah.
do. No, I think that'd be a great addition to the defense.
Mhm.
That'd be letting me know that maybe the Lions have turned the page here, where we're getting guys that aren't just, I don't even know if we ever got these, but aren't just coming here because we're giving them a blank check, but we're guys who are strategically picking where they want to be, playoff type teams, defense, uh, just needs a hole or two filled, and he could be that guy. So I think that'd be,
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be amazing.
6'3", 335. Uh, yeah, I mean,
I mean, we had
I don't understand all this PFF grade stuff, but he graded 82.2. So I'm assuming it's pretty solid. I saw that it was ranked like top five in D tackles the last couple of years. So that would, man, that would do numbers for sure.
yeah, and I'm just looking here. I mean, he's been in the league 8 seasons, and
Hmm.
gives you 14 minimum a year. I mean, so he ain't banged up. He's coming,
Right.
he's coming to play.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think that'd be the type of addition that would just open up the defense. Like you
Hmm.
said, that'd be. I mean, I didn't like. I really don't know how the defense could do what we did, being so strong on one front and not on the other. But that lets me know that the defense that like you said, if we that D line is getting that a push, that many more sacks, quarterbacks
Yeah.
pushing the ball that much more, it just kind of just helps out the back end of the defense as far as the guys out in coverage. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
can't
We'll see
close
what
on.
happens from here. Like I said, it's Wednesday the 13th. Still got a chance to sign Reader. You got anything else for the people?
Well, you hear me?